I was still awake at 3 in the morning when my phone buzzed on the nightstand. At my age, sleep doesn't come easy, but that vibration sliced through the silence like something was wrong. I grabbed it, expecting a wrong number call. Instead, I saw the name. Hayes, shop. Hayes had never called me at this hour, not once in 20 years. My stomach tightened. I answered immediately. Hayes? His voice came in low, shaking. I had never heard him sound like that. Ma'am, are you alone? That single question made my chest lock. Yes. Why? He took a long breath, then forced the words out. Lydia, listen carefully. You need to leave that house right now. Just like that. No explanation. No hesitation. My whole body went cold. Hayes, what happened? Tell me now. He struggled to steady his breathing. I restored Elena's phone. I dug into the encrypted folder. I shouldn't have, but something felt off. And I found something you need to hear. Elena? I whispered. What did she do? His answer shook me to my core. I found your estate deed in her files, with a signature that wasn't yours. My hand clutched the edge of the bed. What? She tried to initiate a transfer. My voice broke. Transfer what? Everything, he said. Your entire estate trust. The house. The accounts. Every asset under your name. My breath stuttered. My chest felt tight. No, she wouldn't. Lydia, he said, harsher now. She forged your name. I closed my eyes to steady myself. I felt the blood drain from my face. Hayes, is this real? It gets worse, he said. There's a recording. I heard her voice. She said, once she's weak enough, I'll get her signature. My whole body stiffened. Every muscle locked. He wasn't lying. He wasn't exaggerating. And in that moment, I understood exactly what had been happening around me. Elena hovering near my documents, asking about my health, checking the mail before I could reach it, acting sweet whenever my son was around, but sharp when we were alone. Hayes spoke again. Ma'am, pack a bag and leave. Quietly. Tonight. I stood slowly, afraid to make a sound. My room felt colder than the air should allow. Hayes. She's sleeping down the hall. That's why you need to leave before she wakes up. I stared at the faint strip of light beneath my bedroom door. The hallway night bulb glowed softly, and suddenly that light felt threatening, like at any second a shadow might block it. My voice trembled. Why would she do this? She wants control, Hayes said, and she was close, too close. I swallowed hard and whispered, my own daughter-in-law. Hayes didn't soften his tone. She wasn't planning to ask for your permission. She was waiting for you to become tired enough, sick enough, confused enough to sign without understanding, or she'd fake it again. My knees weakened. I grabbed my dresser to stop myself from falling. He continued, Lydia, grab whatever you can. Call me when you're safe. I nodded even though he couldn't see me. I'm leaving. I hung up and stood there, listening to the unnatural stillness in my own home. I didn't panic. I observed. I heard nothing. No footsteps, no doors, no voices. But the silence itself felt like someone watching. I grabbed a small overnight bag from my closet and reached for the drawer where I kept my documents. My hand froze before touching it. If Elena had been going through my things, she might have checked whether anything was missing. I couldn't risk alerting her. I stuffed only essentials, a sweater, medication, my wallet, and the small emergency cash my husband had always told me to keep hidden. I headed toward the bedroom door, gripping the handle with shaking fingers. Then, a faint creak sounded from somewhere down the hallway. Not loud, not sharp, but real. My breath caught. I leaned closer to the door, listening. Another sound, like someone shifting their weight slowly on the wooden floorboards. I froze, completely. Elena? I whispered under my breath, terrified she might actually hear me. I pressed my ear against the door. Silence. Then another soft creak. She was awake. She was moving, and she was close. I stepped back quickly, clutching my phone. My heartbeat pounded so loud I was sure it echoed through the hall. I didn't want her to find me awake. I didn't want her to see the bag. I didn't want her to see the fear she had created. I forced myself to breathe quietly. Then another floorboard groaned, this time right outside my door. My chest tightened painfully. She was standing there. I could feel it. Her shadow pressed faintly through the gap at the bottom of the door. I stared at that shadow without blinking. 10 seconds, 20, 30. She didn't move. She was waiting. Waiting for what? To hear if I was awake? To see if I would open the door? To catch me before I could leave? I backed away, step by step, until I reached the far side of the room. Then suddenly, the shadow shifted, slowly, and disappeared. She walked away. My breath returned in a painful rush. I grabbed my bag again, my hands shaking uncontrollably. I moved back toward the door. And then a knock. A soft, deliberate, chilling knock on the other side of the door. "Lydia?" Elena's voice slid through the wood like a knife. "Are you awake?" I froze. Her tone wasn't sweet anymore, not even pretending. It was controlled, sharp, dangerous. I forced my voice steady. "I'm fine. Couldn't sleep." A beat of silence. Then she said, "You look tired lately. Maybe it's time we talk about your future." And a direct attack. At 3 a.m, right outside my door. She knew. She sensed something. I tightened my grip on my bag. "We'll talk in the morning." "No," she said softly. "We'll talk now." My heart slammed against my ribs. That was no suggestion. That was a warning. Hayes was right. If I didn't leave tonight, I might never leave at all. When morning came, I hadn't slept. I moved through the house quietly, listening for every sound. The floor felt different under my feet, like the house itself was warning me. I was still holding my phone when Elena walked into the kitchen, her hair tied neatly, her face bright in a way that didn't match the hour. She looked at me, then at the clock, then back at me. "You're up early," she said, pouring coffee. Her tone was too smooth. "Did you go somewhere last night?" My fingers tightened around the counter. I stepped out for a moment. "At 3 a.m? She raised an eyebrow. "Where did you go?" Her voice wasn't angry. It wasn't curious either. It was checking, probing. She watched every twitch on my face. "I couldn't sleep," I said. "I needed fresh air." She held her mug for a second too long. She nodded slowly, pretending she believed me. "You should have woken me. It's not safe for you to wander around alone." The word alone hit me harder than I expected. I stayed silent, but she wasn't done. She leaned against the counter, crossing her arms. "By the way, where do you keep the trust documents? You mentioned them the other day." She smiled lightly. "I want to help organize things so the house doesn't become overwhelming." My heart thudded so hard I thought she could hear it. I kept my voice steady. "They're handled." She tilted her head, the smile staying but her eyes sharpening. "Handled how? Who keeps track of them? Sometimes older paperwork gets misplaced, and I just want to make sure nothing is misunderstood." Misunderstood. Another word she used carefully. Before I could answer, Megan came down the stairs, rubbing her eyes. "Grandma, are you okay? You look pale." Elena placed a hand on her daughter's shoulder. "Your grandmother barely slept. She takes things too seriously. I told her to rest." Megan frowned, turning to me. "Mom's right. Don't stress yourself." I didn't respond. I didn't trust my voice yet. Elena sat at the table and began stirring her tea. Slow circles, soft clinks, a gentle rhythm meant to sound harmless. But all I saw was how her eyes kept drifting to me, studying me, deciding her next move. She took a sip. "$1 million estates shouldn't be handled alone, Lydia. It's a lot of responsibility. I'm only trying to lighten your load." The way she said $1 million felt deliberate, like she was reminding me of something she wanted. I watched her pretend to smile at me. I had known that smile for years. But that morning, it changed. It felt like a mask, slipping just enough for me to see the outline of a different face beneath it. "I appreciate your concern," I said quietly. She set her cup down. "We're family. We have to think ahead. These things don't manage themselves forever." Megan sat beside her, looking unsure. "Grandma, maybe Mom just wants to help." Help? The word nearly made me laugh. I looked at Megan and forced a calm tone. "Your mother has many opinions about what I should do." Elena's eyes flicked up sharply. "Don't twist my intentions, Lydia. I'm trying to prepare us, for everyone's sake." Everyone's sake. Another rehearsed phrase. When Elena left the table to put dishes in the sink, I caught Megan watching her hands tremble slightly. A small sign. Doubt. Something I could use later. Elena came back and brushed hair from Megan's face. "We all need to support each other, especially now that things are unpredictable." She said unpredictable while looking directly at me. Then she added softly, "You should let someone else handle the paperwork. You've been forgetting things lately." I froze. Megan looked confused. "Forgetting?" Elena didn't break eye contact with me. "It happens at her age, honey. Nothing to worry about." I swallowed back the heat rising in my throat. This was the beginning. She wasn't hiding her intentions anymore. She was planting seeds. Into Megan. Into the house. Into every conversation. Quiet. Controlled. Calculated. "I haven't forgotten anything," I answered. Elena smiled again. Wider. Sweeter. Colder. "If you say so." The kitchen fell silent for a moment, thick enough to choke on. She tapped her mug lightly. "By the way, I reorganized the file cabinet yesterday. Some of your folders were a mess." My chest tightened. "You went through my files?" "I organized them," she corrected. "You should thank me." I looked at her hands. They were too relaxed, too calm. Someone who had nothing to hide would have been defensive. She wasn't. She was confident, because she believed she was already winning. Megan stood up. "Mom, maybe you should have asked her first." Elena's jaw flexed before she forced a smile. "Of course. You're right, sweetheart." But the smile was strange. Thin. Forced. A smile that didn't reach her eyes. She turned back to me and spoke softly, almost gently. "We should sit down this week and talk about what you want done with the estate. Planning ahead is important." My skin prickled. "I know what I want done with it." She nodded, still smiling. "Good. Then we'll make sure everything gets handled correctly." Handled. There was that word again. I watched her walk across the kitchen. Even the way she moved felt different, lighter, more confident, like she'd already pictured herself owning every square inch of the place. That morning I didn't argue. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't make a scene. I did what I always do. I observed. Every glance, every choice of words, every false touch of concern, and every quiet move she made that told me one thing: she was getting ready. But so was I. That night, the house felt heavier than usual. Every sound echoed a little longer. Every shadow stretched a little farther. I moved through the hallway slowly, keeping the lights off, listening to the faint hum of the refrigerator and the ticking of the old clock in the living room. I wasn't looking for trouble. I just couldn't force myself to sleep. Not after Hayes's call. Not after seeing Elena's face that morning when she asked about the trust papers. Around 11, I heard footsteps downstairs. Soft, careful. Not the way Megan walked, not the way Aaron used to walk either. This was slower, intentional. I stayed at the top of the stairs for a moment, then I descended halfway and froze when I heard a voice. Elena's. She was whispering. Urgent, low. Someone was on the other end of the call. I moved down one more step and leaned against the wall, keeping myself hidden behind the banister. Her back was to me. She stood in the dim light of the living room, her silhouette still, her phone pressed to her ear. "She's starting to get tired," she whispered. "I can tell." I held my breath. She paced, her fingers tapping against her arm. "No, not yet. I need her calm. If she panics, she'll call someone. I need her steady for the signature." My stomach dropped. She listened to the person on the other end, then exhaled sharply. "I said she's slow. Not stupid. She won't sign anything unless I make her feel safe first. Safe, that word again. I edged closer, staying in the shadow of the staircase. I could see part of her reflection in the window. She wasn't smiling. Her face was cold, focused, calculating. "Yes, the transfer package is ready," she whispered. "He said it's just waiting for the date." My heart pounded so loudly I thought she would hear it. She lowered her voice even more. "Once she signs, the estate is mine." My nails dug into my palm. Every part of me went still. Even my breathing changed. A quiet, controlled anger rose up, but I forced myself not to move. She paused, listening. "No, she won't fight. She's too old for that." "Too old." I tightened my jaw. "So stop worrying," she whispered sharply. "She won't realize what she signed. Trust me, I've done this before." I almost stepped out right then. I almost confronted her. But something in me held back. Something told me this was just the surface, and I needed to hear everything. She walked toward this couch and sank into it, resting her elbow on her knee. Yes, the notary is lined up. Thursday. But if she hesitates, I'll try tomorrow. She looked weak today." Weak. She talked about me like I was a project, a task she needed to complete, something she could control. "I'll handle Megan," she added. "She trusts me more than her grandmother anyway." A knife twisted in my chest. Not because she said it, because she believed it. She leaned back, her voice dropping into a colder tone. "Once this is finished, everything will be easier. For all of us." I heard that same phrase earlier in the kitchen, but now it sounded different, heavier, intentional. The voice on the other end said something I couldn't hear, and Elena let out a small, confident breath. "Yes, she'll sign, eventually." The final word lingered in the air like a threat. She stood up suddenly, walking toward the window. I stepped back, pressing myself into the wall just before she turned. Her eyes scanned the room, alert, like she felt someone watching her. I stayed still, not even daring to swallow. After a few seconds, she spoke again. "All right, I'll call you if anything changes." She hung up, exhaled, and let her shoulders relax. I moved silently up the stairs, one step at a time, making sure the wood didn't creak. My heart hammered so loudly in my chest that I felt it in my neck. When I finally reached the landing, I stood there in the dark, letting reality sink in. It wasn't just a stolen document. It wasn't just a forged signature. It wasn't just manipulation. She had a partner. She had a plan. She had been preparing this for longer than I realized. When I reached my bedroom, I closed the door gently and sat on the edge of the bed, hands shaking. I stared at the room around me, my husband's old dresser, the framed pictures of our family, the blanket Megan knitted for me years ago. Every piece of this house held a memory, and now someone who married into this family felt entitled to all of it. I waited 5 minutes before moving again. I walked to the window, pulling the curtain aside just enough to look outside. The backyard was dark, still, but the silence didn't bring comfort. It felt like a trap waiting to close. I stood there until my heartbeat steadied. I needed a clear mind, no matter how much fear clawed at me. Downstairs, a door closed softly. Elena was heading back to her room. I listened. One step, another, a pause, then the creak of her bedroom door. I stood in my room long after the house fell quiet. I replayed every word she said, every shift in her tone, every subtle threat packed into her whisper. When I finally lay down, I didn't close my eyes. I didn't panic, I observed, because now I knew the truth. She wasn't waiting for me to get weaker. She was speeding up. And for the first time, I understood something else, too. If I didn't act soon, I might not make it to Thursday. The next morning, I walked into the kitchen and found Elena already there, stirring a pot of oatmeal like she'd been up for hours. She looked over her shoulder when she heard me. Her smile came fast, too fast, and didn't reach her eyes. "Morning, Lydia," she said softly. "I've been thinking about you." That sentence alone made my stomach tighten. She poured me a cup of coffee, black and bitter, and slid it toward me. "Sit. I want to talk about something important." I remained standing. Her smile stayed, but it stiffened. "You know, this house is big. Too big for one person. And after last night, I realized something." I kept my voice calm. "What did you realize?" "That you shouldn't be living alone anymore," she said. "It's dangerous at your age." Her tone was light, gentle, even, but every word was designed to cut. "I'm not alone," I replied. "You know what I mean," she pressed, her eyes scanning my face. "You're tired, forgetful, and this place has too many stairs, too many risks. You could fall, and none of us would know. I didn't blink. She set her spoon down and leaned on the counter like she was about to give me good news. So I booked us a tour at an assisted living center this afternoon. My breath stalled. You booked it? Yes, she said, nodding quickly. Just a tour, Lydia. Nothing to be scared of. I stared at her, slowly, deliberately. I'm not going. Her smile cracked at the edges. You don't even want to see it? No. She paused long enough for her jaw to tighten before she forced another smile. Don't be stubborn. It's for your own good. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. Just then Megan walked in, hair messy from sleep. What's going on? Elena switched tones instantly. Sweetheart, I was telling your grandmother about a wonderful community we're going to visit, a safe place, with nurses and activities. She'll love it. Megan blinked. Grandma, do you want to go? No, I said. Elena's hand tightened around her coffee mug. Megan, she's just overwhelmed. She doesn't understand how much better things could be. Megan looked between us, confused. Mom, she seems fine. She isn't, Elena said sharply, then softened it with a fake laugh. I mean, she's doing her best, but she needs help. I turned to Megan. I'm perfectly capable. Elena cut in before Megan could respond. Capable? Lydia, yesterday you said you forgot where you put your pills. I narrowed my eyes. No, I didn't. Megan's eyebrows pulled together. Mom, did she? Yes, Elena answered quickly. She's forgetting small things, and last night she was wandering around the house at 3 a.m. That's not normal. I felt the shift. Megan pulling slightly toward her mother, like Elena wanted. Megan hesitated. Grandma, were you really up at 3? Yes, I said. I couldn't sleep. Elena let out a dramatic sigh. See? She's exhausted, and she refuses to accept it. I stared at Elena so long, her expression flickered. Just for a second. I'm not going anywhere, I said. Elena stepped closer, lowering her voice. Don't make this harder. It's my life, I replied. She gave a short, irritated breath, the first open crack in her composure. Megan noticed it and stepped back a little. The silence stretched, thick, heavy. Elena finally straightened her shoulders. Fine, if you don't want to go, I'll cancel. I didn't relax. Her tone was too sharp, too clipped. Her fingers tapped against the counter like she was counting something in her mind. Then she smiled again, too bright, too controlled. Let's just have breakfast, she said. We sat, but the air didn't settle. Megan tried to make small talk, but Elena kept steering the conversation back to me. Are you eating enough? You look pale this morning. You should let me handle the housework. You're pushing yourself too hard. Every sentence was coated in sweetness, but aimed like a blade. When Megan left the table to grab her backpack, Elena leaned in slightly, her voice barely above a whisper. If something happened to you in this house, I'd be the one blamed. I felt my pulse rise. Nothing is going to happen. She smiled, slow, thin, knowing. Not if you cooperate. Megan returned, breaking the moment, and kissed my cheek. I'll see you after school. The second the door shut behind her, Elena's face shifted. The sweetness vanished. She stood, walked around the table, and picked up my coffee cup. She examined it like she was checking for fingerprints. You need to stop resisting, she said quietly. It isn't good for anyone. I didn't answer. I knew better than to give her anything she could twist. She set the cup down and spoke softly, with a tone meant to sound caring, but carried nothing but pressure. It would be easier for everyone. That was my answer. That was the line that confirmed what Hayes found, what I heard last night, what she was building more boldly each hour. When she left the room, I moved quickly. I closed the blinds. I locked the office door. I opened my file cabinet, took pictures of every important document, then placed them in a drawer she never touched. I checked my husband's old lockbox and slid the key into my pocket. I snapped photos of each paper, trust details, deeds, medical papers. Then I put everything back exactly as it was. My hands didn't shake. I wasn't panicking. I was preparing. Because Elena had pushed too far, too fast. And if she wanted a war, she was about to learn I wasn't the fragile opponent she imagined. I left the house the next morning with a small USB drive in my pocket and a knot in my chest. I didn't tell Elena where I was going. I didn't say anything at all. She was in the kitchen when I walked out, humming softly as she made coffee, pretending everything was normal. I didn't look back. Lawrence Cole's office sat on the third floor of a quiet building near downtown. I had known him for years. He handled my husband's estate after he passed. He was calm, direct, and didn't waste time. When he saw me standing in his doorway without an appointment, his expression changed. "Lydia," he said, "are you all right?" "No," I answered. "I need you to look at something." He closed the door behind me and gestured to the chair across from his desk. I didn't sit. I placed the USB drive on the table. "Everything you need is on that." He paused, then plugged it into his computer. As the files opened, his face tightened. He clicked through each document slowly, his eyes narrowing more with every page. "These are your estate papers?" he asked. "They're copies of what Elena had on her phone," I said. "Hayes restored them." Cole zoomed in on one page. "This signature isn't yours." "No," I said. "It isn't." He clicked to the next file. "This is a transfer form. It assigns full control of the estate trust to her, effective immediately upon notarization." My hands clenched. He opened another file. "This is an email draft, written by Elena, but never sent. She was planning to claim you were mentally unfit to handle your own finances." My stomach dropped. She was going to lie? She already did. He kept scrolling. "There's a second draft, this one to a notary. She requested availability for an urgent transfer." I felt the blood drain from my face. Cole leaned back, exhaling through his nose. "Lydia, this isn't care. This is a coordinated takeover." I looked at him, trying to steady my breathing. "What do I do?" He turned the screen so I could see more clearly. "This is estate fraud. She forged your signature. She prepared documents behind your back. She planned to move you out so she could take control." I swallowed hard. "She booked an assisted living tour." He stared at me for a long moment. "Of course she did. She needs you out of the house. She needs you isolated. These documents only work if you're not there to contest them." I sat down finally, the weight of everything pressing on me. "How do I stop her?" Cole folded his hands. When he spoke, his voice was steady, but firm. "You need to follow everything I'm about to tell you." "Exactly." I nodded. "First," he said, "don't sign anything. Not a single paper, even if it looks harmless." "I won't." "Second," he continued, "record every interaction with her, every conversation, even small ones." I blinked. "You think she'll try something else?" "I don't think," he said. "I know." He clicked through another file and his jaw set. "Lydia, she attempted to change the beneficiary on your trust. She drafted a request form with your name typed at the bottom." My breath caught. She tried to replace me? She tried to make herself the sole beneficiary. He looked me straight in the eye. That means she wasn't planning to wait decades. She wanted access now. A cold shiver ran through me. "Third," he said, "do not eat or drink anything she prepares." I felt the room tilt. "Why?" "I'm not saying she'll harm you," he said carefully, "but she might try to sedate you, make you groggy, confused, sign something without realizing." I swallowed. "She keeps pushing coffee at me, tea, meals I didn't ask for." Cole nodded slowly. "Stop accepting them." I sat there for a moment, staring at the stack of open files. "She's been planning this for months, hasn't she?" "Maybe longer," Cole said. "Her actions show confidence. She believes she could get away with it." "And could she?" I whispered. "If you didn't find these," he said. "Yes." I closed my eyes. Everything clicked together. The late-night whispers, the deleted messages, the questions about my trust papers, the sudden concern about my safety, the push for assisted living. When I opened my eyes again, Cole was watching me carefully. "You're in danger, Lydia." The words hit harder than I expected. I gripped the arm of the chair. "So what happens now?" "We build a wall," he said. "A legal one. You gather proof. You record every attempt to pressure you. You document every lie. And when the time comes, we act." I nodded slowly. "I can do that." "You'll need to be calm," he warned. "She'll escalate. She'll get bolder. She'll press harder. But you cannot give her anything." His voice lowered, more serious than before. "And Lydia, if she becomes agitated or starts acting desperate, call me immediately." I inhaled deeply. "I understand." He pulled the USB out and handed it back to me. "Keep this safe, preferably not in your house. And don't let her know you spoke to me." "I won't." As I stood to leave, he added one more sentence, quiet, heavy, and honest. "She's not waiting for you to sign. She's waiting for you to weaken." My throat tightened. I walked out of the office feeling something I hadn't felt in years. Not fear, not panic, resolve. If Elena wanted to take everything from me, she was about to learn I wasn't as weak as she hoped. When I returned home from Cole's office, I forced myself to walk through the front door as if nothing had happened. My heartbeat was steady, my face calm. I didn't pause or look around. I moved through the house like any other afternoon, placing my purse on the table and hanging my sweater the way I always did. But the moment I stepped toward my office, something felt off. The door was slightly open. I always closed it. I pushed it wider, slowly, and saw Elena crouched in front of my file cabinet. Her hand hovered over the bottom drawer, the one that held the trust papers. For a second, she didn't move. Then she jerked upright as if burned. "Oh," she said, breathless. "I was just looking for a pen." A pen. Inside my locked drawer. She smoothed her shirt, her face tightening before she forced a smile. "You really should organize these better, Lydia. They're all over the place." I kept my voice flat. "I didn't ask you to organize anything." She laughed lightly, too lightly. "Well, I was trying to help." I stepped closer, and her eyes flickered just enough to reveal what she didn't want me to see: fear, irritation, and calculation fighting under her calm expression. My gaze moved over the drawer. Papers were shifted. Files weren't aligned the way I left them. She had dug deep. She had been searching for something, and judging from the look in her eyes, she found the right drawer. Before I could speak, Megan appeared in the hallway. "Mom? Grandma? What's happening?" Elena turned to her instantly. "Your grandmother is upset," she said with a sigh. "She thinks I touched her things. She's been confused lately." The sentence came out with practiced ease. I stared at her. "I'm not confused." Megan hesitated. "Mom, maybe she—" Elena cut her off gently. "Honey, don't worry. It's normal. Sometimes older people misplace things. That's normal." She said it soft enough to sound caring, loud enough for me to hear every word. I stepped closer, meeting her eyes coldly. "I didn't misplace anything." A flicker crossed Megan's face. Doubt, concern, something she tried to hide. Elena moved quickly, slipping an arm around her daughter's shoulder. "Why don't you go finish your homework, sweetie?" Elena whispered. "I'll handle this." Megan lingered for a second, looking between us, then nodded and stepped away. The moment she disappeared, Elena's smile dropped. Her eyes sharpened. "You shouldn't leave important things unlocked, Lydia. Anyone could get confused." I held her stare. "I locked that drawer." She blinked once. "Well, maybe you forgot." I didn't reply. Instead, I turned toward the kitchen, keeping my steps slow. Controlled. I needed space. I needed time to breathe and plan. But dinner that night stripped away any illusion of calm. Megan sat between us, picking at her food. The silence was heavy until Elena broke it with a bright, false tone. "Lydia, did you think about the assisted living place? They have wonderful staff and a memory care wing." Megan's fork froze. "Memory care?" Elena nodded sympathetically. "For people who need a little extra help." "I don't need help," I said. Elena's eyebrows rose. "You walked around the house at 3 in the morning. You couldn't find your pills yesterday. That never happened," I cut in. "Oh, Lydia." She sighed dramatically and touched my hand, her fingers cold. "You probably don't remember." Megan's eyes widened slightly. She looked at me, then at her mother. Elena smiled at her. "See, honey? This is what I was telling you. She gets overwhelmed." My jaw tightened. Elena continued eating like she hadn't just rewritten my reality. "Anyway, the tour is still open. We can go tomorrow just to look, no pressure." "I said no," I repeated. Megan swallowed hard. "Mom, maybe Grandma?" Elena snapped. Not loudly, but sharply. "Megan, I know what's best for her." The tone made Megan flinch. Then Elena switched back to kindness instantly. "We all want her to be safe, right?" Megan nodded slowly, but doubt clouded her eyes. That made Elena's smile tighten. I watched everything, every shift in their faces, every calculated word. And then, while Elena reached for the salt shaker, I slid my hand under the table and pressed the small red button on the recorder Cole had given me. The device was tucked into my sweater pocket. I angled it toward her voice. Elena kept talking, oblivious. "You shouldn't live in a big house alone, Lydia. It's dangerous at your age. What if something happens?" I looked at her. "Nothing will happen." She leaned forward, her tone soft but sharp. "It could." Her eyes locked onto mine for a full second, cold, deliberate, assessing whether I would break. The air thickened. Megan cleared her throat. "Mom, maybe we should just let Grandma rest." Elena didn't look at her. She kept her gaze on me. "Rest would help," she agreed. "She hasn't been herself." The knife twisted again, gently, expertly. Then she stood, walked around the table, and placed a hand on my shoulder. Her grip was light, polite, but her fingers tightened just enough for me to feel the pressure. She leaned down, her lips near my ear, her voice soft as a breath. "You should rest," she whispered. "You look tired." But when I turned my head, her eyes, just inches from mine, were filled with something else entirely. Not concern, not care, control. She straightened, smoothing her blouse. "I'll clean up," she said lightly. "You go lie down." I didn't move. I waited until she walked past me, her steps calm and confident, before exhaling the breath I had been holding. Then I reached into my pocket, felt the small recorder still running, and pressed it off. Cole was right. The mask was slipping. And Elena wasn't pretending anymore. Elena woke me early the next morning, tapping lightly on my door like she was doing me a favor. "Lydia, get dressed," she said, cheerful in a way that felt staged. "We have a tour at 10. I sat up slowly. "A tour of what?" "The assisted living center," she answered, already walking away. "I booked it last night." No question, no discussion, just an announcement. Megan stood in the hallway, arms crossed, eyes soft. "Grandma, maybe it's good for you," she said quietly. "Mom says they can help you stay safe." I looked at her. "I don't need help staying safe." She hesitated, torn. I don't know. Mom seems worried." "That's the problem," I said. But Megan didn't reply. She followed her mother downstairs. I got dressed in silence, slid the recorder into my pocket, and prepared myself. When we arrived at the center, the director, a man in his 50s with a bright tie and a too-wide smile, opened the door before we even knocked. "Elena," he greeted warmly. Too warmly. "Good to see you again." He shook her hand like they were old friends, then turned to me. "Mrs. Coleman, welcome. We've heard great things." I stared at Elena. "You've been here before?" She ignored the question. "Let's get started, shall we?" The director led us inside, talking non-stop. We pride ourselves on individualized care, memory support, mobility assistance, medication management, whatever you need. "I don't need any of that," I said. He chuckled politely, like I wasn't serious. We walked past a lounge and down a sterile hallway. The lighting buzzed faintly. Everything smelled like disinfectant. My skin prickled. Elena gestured at a quiet room. "Look, Lydia, it's peaceful. No stress. No big house to take care of." I didn't answer. Megan pointed at the courtyard. "The garden looks nice." "Yes, for residents who prefer fresh air," the director chimed in. "And we have staff available 24 hours. No one is ever alone." The way he said "no one is ever alone" felt like a warning, not a comfort. When we reached a small private office, Elena paused. "Can we step in here? I'd like Lydia to see how they handle new resident evaluations." Before I could object, the director opened the door. A thin man in a gray suit waited inside. He stood up the moment we entered. "Mrs. Coleman?" he asked, smiling politely. "I'm a notary. We're just going to go over a preliminary form." My heart dropped. Elena kept her tone bright. "It's nothing serious, Lydia. Just a short questionnaire. They need to confirm your willingness to explore options." The notary held out a stack of papers, a pale blue folder, the exact color Cole told me to watch out for. A pen was already placed neatly on top. The man continued, "It's just a preliminary form, nothing binding." I stepped back. "Then you don't need my signature." The director shifted awkwardly. Elena stiffened just a little, then forced a smile. "Lydia, it's routine. Everyone signs it." I shook my head. "I'm not everyone." The notary tried again. "It simply confirms your interest in learning more." "And I'm not interested," I said. There was a long pause. Elena's jaw flexed before she caught herself. She pressed her smile back into place. "Mom, please, don't make this difficult." I stared at the folder. Why is there a notary in an assisted living center? The director laughed nervously. "We like to streamline the process." "Process for what?" I asked. Elena cut in quickly. "Lydia, stop. You're blowing this out of proportion." "No," I said. "You are." Megan looked between us, confused and scared. "Mom, why does she need to sign anything?" Elena shot her a warning glance. "Megan, stay out of this." The notary shifted the folder closer to me. "It truly is simple, just a verification of intent." Intent, the word Cole warned me about. I stepped farther away. "I'm not signing." Elena inhaled sharply through her nose. Her voice dropped to a whisper. "Lydia, please don't embarrass us. Just sign the paper." The director added softly, "It will only take a second." I looked at each of them, the director avoiding my eyes, the notary poised with his pen, Elena tense behind her polite mask. "This is not a tour," I said quietly. "This is a setup." Elena's smile vanished. The notary cleared his throat. "Mrs. Coleman, your daughter-in-law assured us you were ready for this step." My voice hardened. "I never said that." Megan looked stricken. "Mom, you said Grandma wanted—" Elena cut her off sharply. "Megan, enough." But it was too late. Megan had seen the truth. Her eyes flickered toward the folder, the pen, the notary. She understood something was wrong. "Grandma," she whispered, "you don't have to sign." Elena shot her a glare so sharp it could cut glass. The notary tried one last time. "Please, Mrs. Coleman, it's standard." "No," I said. There was silence. Sharp, brittle, dangerous silence. Finally, Elena exhaled and forced a brittle smile. "All right," she said lightly. "If you're uncomfortable, we'll revisit it another time." She reached forward and took the blue folder, gripping it slightly too tight before handing it back to the notary. Her face looked calm. Her eyes did not. As we walked out of the office, she leaned close to me. So close only I could hear her words. "You can't fight change forever." I didn't answer. But inside, something cold and solid formed. I was done being cornered. I didn't sleep that night. Not really. After the scene at the assisted living center, my nerves were already shot. I stayed in bed for hours, eyes open, listening to the house settle. Every creak made my stomach tighten. Every shift of the wind made me look toward the door. Sometime past midnight, I finally drifted into a light, uneasy sleep. And then I heard it, a soft footstep in the hallway. Slow, deliberate. Not a random sound, not Megan getting water. Someone was walking with purpose. I opened my eyes instantly. Another step, then another. My heart pounded so loudly, I thought whoever was outside could hear it. I turned my head just enough to see the thin strip of light under my door. And then, just like that, a shadow blocked the light. Someone was standing right outside my room. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. I kept my eyes barely open, pretending to sleep. The shadow didn't budge. It just stayed there, watching, waiting, listening. My fingers slid slowly into my pocket. I found the recorder Cole gave me and pressed the button. A quiet click. I prayed it wasn't loud enough to be heard. The shadow stayed another 10 seconds. Then 20. My whole body shook. Finally, the shadow shifted. Whoever it was turned away and walked back down the hall with soft, controlled steps. I didn't sleep again. I stayed in bed, gripping the recorder, staring at the door until the sun came up. When I walked into the kitchen the next morning, Elena was already there, cheerful as ever, stirring her coffee like she hadn't just stood outside my room in the middle of the night. She looked up. "Good morning, Lydia. Did you sleep well?" My stomach twisted. "No, I didn't." She smiled over her mug. "Oh? Why not?" Megan walked in behind me. "Grandma, you look pale. What happened?" I spoke plainly. "Someone was outside my room last night." Megan turned instantly toward her mother. "Mom?" Elena didn't flinch. "Megan, please. She probably dreamed it." I stared at her. "I didn't dream it." Elena sighed dramatically, shaking her head. "Lydia, you were exhausted yesterday. Your mind plays tricks when you're stressed." My voice sharpened. "Stop telling me what I imagined." Megan looked at me, then at Elena. "Mom, Grandma doesn't look like she's imagining anything." Elena put her mug down harder than she intended. "Megan, don't start. She didn't sleep well, that's all." I stepped closer. I heard footsteps. Someone stopped at my door. Elena's tone turned flat. "You're jumping to conclusions again." Megan frowned. "Why would Grandma lie about this?" Elena shot her a quick glare. "She's confused, Megan. You know that." "No," I cut in. "That's what you keep saying." Elena folded her arms. "Because it's true. You've been anxious and scattered since yesterday. Anyone would be." Megan took a step toward me. "Grandma, do you think it was—" Elena interrupted sharply. "Megan, enough." But Megan didn't back down this time. "Why do you sound guilty?" Elena's face froze. I kept my eyes on her. "Someone stood outside my room last night for almost a minute." Elena smiled tightly. "And I'm telling you, you imagined it." I said nothing. Megan whispered, "Grandma, do you want to sleep in my room tonight? I'll stay up with you if you're scared." Elena's head snapped toward her. "No, she won't. She'll be fine." Megan blinked. "Why not?" Elena didn't hide her irritation anymore. "Because she's overreacting. This whole thing has gotten out of control." I looked at Elena. "You don't want Megan near me, do you?" She held my stare without blinking. "I want this house calm. You're making it difficult." There it was. The real Elena. Not the sweet voice. Not the fake concern, the control, the anger, the frustration that her plan wasn't moving fast enough. I said quietly, "I know what I heard." Elena leaned forward, her voice dropping. "And I know you're tired. You need to rest, that's all." I felt the threat buried under the softness. Megan stepped beside me. "Grandma, stay with me tonight." Elena's jaw tightened. "I said she doesn't need to." Megan crossed her arms. "Then I'll sleep outside her door." Elena's face went cold. I turned away, walked back to my room, and shut the door. I locked it, then pushed a chair under the handle. My hand shook so badly I could barely wedge it in place. I replayed the recording. It captured the footsteps, the pause, the breathing, Proof that someone was there. I sat on the edge of my bed, gripping the recorder in both hands. The house wasn't safe. The hallways weren't safe. My own bedroom wasn't safe. Elena wanted me scared. She wanted me tired. She wanted me broken enough to sign anything she put in front of me. But she wasn't getting that. Not from me, not now, not ever. By late afternoon, the house felt heavy. Every room seemed filled with leftover tension from the night before. I stayed in my bedroom most of the day, pretending to rest, but really just listening for footsteps, whispers, anything. Around 5, Elena knocked once and walked in without waiting. She held a stack of brochures, the same ones she had shoved at me days ago. Bright photos of smiling seniors, soft colors, fake comfort. "We need to talk," she said. Her voice clipped. I didn't move. "About what?" She laid the brochures on my dresser. "About this. You need to go through them." "No," I said. "I already told you." She inhaled sharply, forcing a smile. "Lydia, don't be stubborn. These places are designed to help people your age." "I don't need help." Her smile dropped instantly. "Really? After last night? After you insisted someone was outside your door?" She crossed her arms. "Do you want Megan to take care of you until you fall again?" I stared at her. "What did you just say?" She blinked, realizing too late what she'd let slip. Before I could respond, Megan walked by the doorway and froze. "Fall again? Grandma never fell." Elena stiffened. "Megan, stay out of this." Megan stepped inside. "No, you're lying. Why would you say that?" Elena's jaw tensed. "Because she's weak, Megan. She can't live alone anymore." "I'm standing right here," I said. Elena turned on me. "Then act like it." The words hit the air like a slap. It was the first time she'd raised her voice at me, openly, loudly, without the sugary sweetness masking it. Megan flinched. I said calmly, "I'm not going anywhere." Elena pointed at the brochures again. "You're going to sit down and read these." "No." "Lydia, no." She grabbed one of the brochures and shoved it toward me. "Look at it. These places can take care of everything. They handle medication, daily routines, meals, things you clearly can't manage anymore." Megan stepped between us. "Mom, stop." Elena snapped back. "Megan, this is not your decision." "Then why are you making it for her?" Megan shot back. Elena's nostrils flared. "Because she needs help." I kept my voice even. "I don't need help. I need you to stop." Elena turned to me again, eyes sharp. "You're being dramatic." Megan's voice tightened. "Grandma's not dramatic. She's scared." Elena whipped toward her. "Because she imagines danger." "I didn't imagine anything," I said. "Then who was outside your door?" she demanded. The room froze. Megan stared at her mother. Elena realized what she'd just said. I spoke quietly. "How did you know someone was outside my door?" Elena froze for a beat too long. Because you told me," she stuttered. "I told you someone was outside," I said softly. "I never said they stopped at my door." Megan's eyes widened. "Mom?" Elena forced a laugh. "Oh, come on. We all know she's confused. She probably mentioned it." "No," I said. "I didn't." The silence stretched tight. Elena dropped the brochures onto the bed, the pages fanning out like a mess she couldn't control. "Okay, enough. You're going to this place. That's final." Megan's voice broke. "You can't force her." "Oh, yes, I can," Elena hissed. "Someone has to make decisions around here." "Not like this," Megan whispered. Elena ignored her. "Lydia, you are going, whether you like it or not." I stepped closer. "You don't have the power to do that." She leaned in, lowering her voice to a sharp whisper. "I will. Once this is over, everything will be easier." Megan gasped. "What does that mean?" Elena froze again, realizing she had said too much. She straightened and plastered on a thin smile. "I just mean, after we settle this, life will be calmer." I asked quietly, "Easier for who?" "For everyone," she answered without blinking. Cold, direct, unfiltered. Something cracked in Megan's face. She finally saw the truth she'd been trying not to see. "Mom," Megan whispered. "What are you doing?" Elena picked up the brochures again, gripping them too tightly. "I'm protecting this family. She is spiraling. She's seeing things that aren't there. She's weak. I'm not weak," I said. She threw the brochures onto the table, the slap loud and sharp. "Then prove it. Pick a facility. Today." "No," I said again, steady. Elena's voice rose. "You don't get to say no." I just did. Megan stepped firmly beside me. She said no. Elena stared at her daughter like she couldn't believe what she was hearing. "You're siding with her? After everything I've done for you?" Megan swallowed hard. "Grandma hasn't lied to me once. Can you say the same?" Elena's face twisted, anger, disbelief, insult, flashing in a second before smoothing into a cold glare. "You're making a mistake." "No," Megan whispered. "I think you are." The room went dead silent. Elena grabbed her purse, yanked it off the counter, and stormed toward the door. "Fine. Do whatever you want." She stopped in the doorway, looked back at me, and spoke in a low, controlled voice. "But this isn't over." The door slammed behind her. Megan turned to me, shaking. "Grandma, what do we do now?" I exhaled slowly and reached into my pocket. "I'm calling Cole." For the first time in days, Megan nodded without hesitation. "Good." She sat beside me, gripping my hand, and for the first time, I wasn't standing alone. The moment Elena's car pulled out of the driveway, Megan closed the curtain and whispered, "Mom, this is our chance." My chest tightened. "Are you sure she's gone?" "She won't be back for at least an hour," Megan said. "She took her planner. She's going to that stupid yoga class she always lies about." I didn't waste a second. I went straight to my room, pulled out a small canvas bag, and began packing the essentials: documents, cash, my ID, the prescriptions Elena kept offering to organize for me. I shoved everything into the bag as fast as my hands would move. Megan hovered by the door, watching the hallway like a guard. "Hurry, Grandma. She checks the house all the time. She'll notice something's off." "I'm moving as fast as I can," I said, stuffing the last folder inside. "Where's your phone?" "Here," she said, holding it up. "I turned off location sharing." I stopped. "She made you share your location?" Megan didn't answer. She looked down at the floor instead. That told me everything I needed to know. When my bag was full, I grabbed a sweater, zipped the bag closed, and slung it over my shoulder. "Okay, let's go." Megan grabbed her own small backpack from under her bed. Already packed. Already prepared. That made my heart break in a way nothing else had. We moved quickly down the stairs. My pulse wouldn't slow. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. Every sound, every car, every gust of wind felt like her returning. Megan opened the front door quietly, motioning for me to follow. "Hurry!" We stepped out into the cool evening air. The sun was setting, throwing long shadows across the driveway. Megan closed the door behind us carefully, not letting it slam. We crossed the lawn fast, both of us looking over our shoulders. Elena had left in a hurry and forgotten to lock the front door. For once, her carelessness worked in our favor. Sandra's house was only 2 doors down, but the walk felt like a mile. Halfway there, Megan whispered, "Mom, let's leave. Please. I can't stay in that house anymore." I squeezed her hand. "We're leaving, sweetheart. I promise." When we reached Sandra's porch, I knocked once, hard and urgent. She opened the door almost instantly, her eyes widening when she saw us. "Oh my God, Lydia, what happened?" "We need to come in," I said. My voice shook. Sandra didn't ask another question. She stepped aside, ushered us into her warm living room. "Sit down, both of you. What's going on?" I finally dropped my bag onto the floor and sank onto the couch. Megan stayed standing for a moment, arms wrapped around herself, shaking. Sandra knelt in front of her. "Honey, you're trembling. Tell me what's wrong." Megan's voice cracked. "It's my mom. She's not who you think she is." Sandra's expression darkened. "What did she do?" Megan sat next to me and grabbed my hand. Then the dam finally broke. She burst into tears, loud, uncontrollable sobs that shook her whole body. "She scared me for years, Mom," she cried. "You don't know what she's like when you're not around." My stomach dropped. "Sweetheart, what do you mean?" Megan wiped her face, shaking her head. "She controls everything I do, who I talk to, where I go, who I text." She looked at me with swollen eyes. "She reads my messages. She checks my call history. She stopped. My heart hammered. "What else, Megan?" Megan's voice lowered to a whisper. "She hit me once." Sandra inhaled sharply. "She what?" Megan's hands shook uncontrollably. "I was 12. I talked back. She slapped me so hard I fell. She made me swear not to tell anyone." I felt sick. "Megan." I pulled her into my arms. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because she said you'd choose her over me," Megan sobbed. "She said you needed her more." "That's not true," I said fiercely. "None of that is true." Sandra stood, eyes blazing. "Lydia, you're not going back there. Not tonight. Not ever without protection." Before I could respond, Megan's phone buzzed. She froze. "It's her." My chest tightened. "Read it." Megan turned the screen toward me. A single message from Elena. "You're making things harder." Another came right after. "And you can't hide forever." The room went silent. Sandra grabbed her car keys off the counter. "We're going to the police. Tonight." I shook my head. "Not yet. I need to call Cole first." Megan wiped her face. "Grandma? Are we safe here?" "Yes," I whispered, pulling her close. "Right now we are." But as I looked at the glowing phone screen with Elena's threats on it, one thing became painfully clear. She knew. She knew we were gone. She knew we were together. And she wasn't done. Not even close. Cole opened the conference room door the moment he saw us step into his office. His face was calm, but his eyes sharpened when he noticed Megan's swollen red eyes and the tension in my shoulders. "Come in," he said. "Sit. Tell me everything. From the moment you left the house." Megan and I sat across from him. I placed my small canvas bag on the table and unzipped it slowly. Cole waited, pen ready. I spoke first. Elena escalated. She tried to force another assisted living meeting. She brought a notary. She pushed hard. It wasn't a misunderstanding. Megan swallowed. And she yelled at my grandma, like really yelled. She's never done it in front of me. Cole nodded once. "Good. I need you both to be honest and direct. Don't downplay anything." I took a breath and slid the USB across the table. "Here's everything from her phone, the files Jasper found." Cole plugged it into his laptop. The screen lit up with folders: draft legal forms, estate transfer, signature copy, assisted living coordination. He didn't say anything for several seconds. His jaw tightened. Then he looked straight at me. "Lydia, this is not borderline. This is not, maybe she's misguided. This is a coordinated attempt to take your estate and isolate you, legally and physically." I didn't respond. I didn't have to. Cole tapped the folder labeled Transfer Form Final.pdf. "This alone is enough to file for an emergency restraining order." Megan wiped her cheek. "She sent threats last night, too." "Good," Cole said. "I need them." Megan handed him her phone. He read the messages silently. "You're making things harder. You can't hide forever." Cole exhaled. "These are intimidation attempts. They help us." He turned to me. "Do you have the voice memos?" "Yes." I handed him my phone. "These are the conversations Elena tried to manipulate me into signing things. And one from last night when she stood outside my bedroom." Cole plugged it in and played one memo. Elena's voice came through the speakers, smooth and false. "You should rest. You look tired. It's safer if you don't handle stairs anymore." Then a pause, a shift in tone. "You can't fight change forever." He stopped the recording and leaned back. "That, Lydia, is a threat disguised as care. Judges see this pattern constantly. He gathered the papers, the USB, Megan's screenshots. We have enough. Actually, we have more than enough. Megan hesitated. Is she dangerous? Cole didn't sugarcoat it. She's accelerating. That's dangerous. My stomach twisted. Just then, his office assistant knocked on the door. Detectives are here to take statements. Cole nodded. Send them in. 2 San Diego PD officers entered. 1 male, 1 female. Both serious, both already briefed. The female officer sat beside Megan. We're here to help you stay safe. Tell us in your own words what happened last night. Megan's voice trembled, but she spoke clearly. She stood outside my grandma's door, and she kept checking our rooms. She was waiting to see if we'd look weak. The male officer turned to me. Did she attempt any physical contact? No, I said. Not yet, but she's been manipulating me, taking documents, trying to push me into assisted living. The officer wrote quickly. Did you at any point feel unsafe in your own home? Yes, I said without hesitation. Every day for the past week. The officers exchanged a glance. That was enough. Cole pushed a stack of printed screenshots toward them. These are the threats, and this, he held up the deed form, is attempted estate fraud. The male officer looked at me again. We'll help you stay alive. We've seen cases like this turn fast. You did the right thing leaving. Megan leaned into me, and I placed my hand on top of hers. Cole stood and addressed the officers. I'll file for the emergency order today. We want it active within hours. The female officer nodded. We can expedite protective checks around the friend's home, too. Good, Cole said. She shouldn't be alone. As the officers left to prepare paperwork, my phone started vibrating in my bag. Once, twice, 3 times, 4. I didn't even need to check. I already knew who it was. Cole looked at me. Is that her? My bag buzzed again, and again. I nodded. Yes. Let it ring, he said. Elena already knows you left. She's panicking. That means she's unpredictable. The phone buzzed a 5th time, then a 6th, then 7th. Megan's eyes widened. Grandma? She's calling me too. Don't pick up, Cole warned. Not unless we arrange a controlled call with officers present. The buzzing didn't stop. 8, 9, 10, 11 calls in under a minute. Cole exhaled slowly. She knows she's losing control. And by the 12th call, he grabbed a legal pad and started writing fast. We're filing the restraining order, reporting the fraud attempt, and requesting a safety sweep at Sandra Miller's home. He paused. And Lydia, there's something else. I looked at him sharply. What? Cole rotated his laptop toward me. A background report appeared on the screen. A woman's name, a Texas address, a complaint file. Elena did this before, Cole said. To her own mother. It didn't go as far because the family intervened, but the pattern is identical. Megan gasped. She told me Grandma Teresa was sick. Cole shook his head. Her mother wasn't sick. She was targeted. Same tactics, same paperwork, same narrative about memory issues. I felt cold. Cole continued. This gives us leverage. Judges take repeat patterns very seriously. My phone buzzed again. Call number 15. Cole pointed at it. Let it ring. Every call adds weight to our case. Megan reached for my hand. Grandma, are we really safe? I squeezed back. We will be. Cole gathered all the documents into an evidence folder. From this point on, I want you staying with Sandra, door locked, phone on silent, and call me or PD if anything happens. Elena won't stop, not now, but neither will we. Elena showed up just after sunset. Megan and I were in the living room with Sandra when the pounding started. Lydia! Elena screamed from the porch. Open this door, now! Sandra froze. Megan grabbed my arm. The pounding grew louder. I know you're in there. Stop hiding like a child, Megan whispered. Grandma, don't move. I didn't. Elena hit the door again. Lydia, you're making this worse. Come out. A police cruiser rolled slowly down the street at that exact moment. The flashing blue reflection washed across the living room walls. The car stopped. 2 officers stepped out. One of them called, "Ma'am, step away from the door." Elena spun around. "This is my family's house. She's confused. She needs supervision." "Ma'am," the officer repeated, firmer. "We're checking an active restraining order. Step back." Elena didn't listen. She grabbed the doorknob and tried to force it open. "Lydia, open it! You can't do this to me!" The officer rushed forward. "Ma'am, do not enter that property!" Elena shoved the door again. The officer pulled her back sharply. "That's it! Hands behind your back!" Elena screamed. "Don't touch me! She's lying! They're all lying!" The officers pinned her arms, locked the cuffs, and pressed her against the patrol car. Megan covered her mouth as tears fell. In the struggle, Elena's purse hit the ground. Papers spilled everywhere. The officer picked up a stack, crumpled, highlighted, ready to sign. A printed deed, a transfer contract, a post-it note in Elena's handwriting. "Sign today." The officer held them up. "Elena Coleman, you're under arrest for violation of a restraining order, attempted estate fraud, and harassment." Elena thrashed as they pushed her into the back seat. "Lydia! Megan, you owe me! You owe me!" The door slammed. Silence followed. Megan collapsed into my arms. I held her tightly, feeling her entire body shake. "It's over, Megan," I whispered. "It's finally over." She cried harder, but this time it sounded like release, not fear. 3 months later, the court sentenced Elena for estate fraud, harassment, and attempted coercion of a senior. She was denied bail and transferred to a state facility. Megan began therapy. Aaron apologized for every year he chose not to see the truth. And me? I moved into a small house near the ocean in San Diego. Quiet mornings, soft waves, a life I chose for myself. I finally understood. Peace is worth fighting for. It wasn't easy to tell, and it wasn't easy to live through, but in the end, I found safety, truth, and a kind of peace I never thought I'd feel again. If you enjoyed this story, feel free to subscribe, leave a comment, or share your thoughts. I always love hearing where you're listening from, and your support helps keep these stories alive. Thank you for spending your time with me today. Take care of yourself, and I hope to see you in the next video.